Hey everyone, and welcome to another video of DC NBA Junkie, where I'll be discussing NBA related content, basically every single day. I'm continuing a series called NBA Team Futures, where each day I'll be deep diving into a different NBA team and talking about my stance on each team moving forward from the NBA hiatus. If that sounds interesting, then feel free to tune in on some fresh NBA content. For today's episode, I'll be taking a closer look at the New Orleans Pelicans. After claiming Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo Ball with trading away Anthony Davis, the Pelicans are one of, if not the most exciting up-and-coming team. Zion's impressive preview and Brandon Ingram becoming an all-star leaves the team with so much great potential to grow and become a successful NBA team. Let's get to it. But before I begin, make sure to leave a like on the video and drop down in the comments section any suggestions for future video ideas or even ideas for future series, because any suggestions from you guys are highly advised and recommended. And lastly, make sure to subscribe. I mean, we're all here for some fresh and nice NBA content. Now, without further ado, let's take a look into the future of the New Orleans Pelicans. Alright, beginning this team futures review for the Pelicans, I'm going to go right into the role players for the Pelicans, but just a quick overview of the Pelicans. They had a 28-36 record for the 64 games they played this season, which was good for 10th in the West. They were a very, good fast-paced team, and just the overall idea for role players is the team is just young, and due to being a young team, the players are just raw on the Pelicans, and they just need time to develop in order for them to be not only consistent, but a team that's worthy enough to, stay like steady with wins and pose as a winning threat in the Western Conference. And their bench, I want to talk about their bench because that's what the role players is about. Their bench is like in the middle of the pack with their points per game and the rebounding, which is kind of translated to an inconsistent team. They have those inconsistencies and they don't stand out, and that's just one of the reasons that they're just not where they are yet. And that's okay because they're a new team, so it's nothing against them. And they've also dealt with a lot of injuries, so that's another thing that's in their favor. I'm not saying that the Pelicans are a disappointment as of right now. I'm just saying that these injuries have just caused just injuries and just inconsistency from the bench is what I'm trying to focus on here with the role players, and that these role players' development is really crucial for this team in future success. All right, next I'm going to go into Lonzo Ball. Yes, I'm going to just focus on Lonzo, and I feel like he's one of the most important parts of this Pelicans team, aside from Brandon Ingram, Drew Holiday, and Zion Williamson, because he's a one-of-a-kind player. He affects the game offensively and defensively. Although he isn't impressive with his shooting percentages and numbers, he's been a really consistent guy of just being a great playmaker and creating for his teammates, but also playing stellar defense. He's one of the top defenders in the league guard defenders. So you have to give him that, and that's the reason why a lot of teams like guys like him, because he's young. First of all, he's only 22 years old. He's only 22, so he's got a lot of room to grow. He's very young, but also he's just raw. He just needs the time to develop. Some guys just take a long time. We saw Ingram. He's 22 now, but when he was a rookie and for the first 3 years of his career, he's just having trouble figuring out where his place is in the league. So for Lonzo, he's just had the trouble of trying to not staying healthy, and that's just kind of been a problem with him. But he already has a lot of great parts to his game, like I said before. Just adding, the offensive, the scoring will make him just significantly better, and it will strengthen this team's opportunities, for success. That's why I feel like it's so important. We saw Brandon Ingram blossom. It's just Lonzo can do it defensively, but he was already showing it this season. This is his best year by far, offensively. So, moving forward, Lonzo Ball just needs to keep showing his consistency, but also working to stay healthy, because his first 2 years he seeing a lot of time on the floor because of injuries. And yeah, so Lonzo Ball is very important for this team's success. All right, next I'm going to go into the first option for this team. It's going to be Zion Williamson or Brandon Ingram. Zion, there's obviously pros to both of them. You know, Zion's just already in like a short 20 games, I believe, or so. He's already shown us he's going to be a very impactful player in this league. He's just a force. He's just a one of a kind as well. But he's like a freak in nature. He just does everything you need out of him. A great defender. He's a very explosive athlete. He even shoots the 3-ball too, but he's just a little inconsistent there. But still, regardless. And then you have Brandon Ingram, who is who just showed us this year that, you know, in a new environment, he could go off. He's having a great season offensively. You know, it's not the best defender, but he can, you know, put himself out there with like a 6'10" height, but like a 7-foot wingspan. So this team just needs a leader moving on, and I think it's gonna be has to be one of those two. It's gotta be one of their top players. It just can't be like JJ Redick or, you know, Drew Holiday, because these two are clearly the important, like the most significant players of the team. You know, in late game situations, you want to make sure you know the guy you want to give it to, or at least it can be both of them. And the ideal situation is that they're both running as co-stars, like in like LA, you know, Los Angeles Clippers. Just, you know, that's another idea too. They just need the leadership from one of those two, because moving forward, if they're going to be a serious team, you need those guys to step up who are at the front end of your team. Next, I'm going to go into the free agency view. I do this for every team. I just look into the free agency possibilities for the team moving forward. And for this team, their notable free agents include Brandon Ingram, Derek Favors, E'Twaun Moore, Jahlil Okafor, and Frank Jackson. And out of these guys, it's not even like, I mean, clearly Brandon Ingram, you need to re-sign him. That's the biggest thing. If you need to do anything this free agency, you need to re-sign Brandon Ingram. He had a phenomenal All-Star season. He will get paid basically like a max deal. He will. He's deserving of a max, All-Star season. He's clearly, worked for that. Derek Favors, you could re-sign him, although he made a lot of money this year. I wouldn't pay him necessarily as much as you gave him. He's a good player, but there's a chance you may have overpaid him for what he does in the game, especially since he's kind of a more old-fashioned kind of center, but although I'm saying that, he still fits very well in the modern NBA. E'Twaun Moore, you could also look into re-signing him. They paid him a lot in the previous years, so I wouldn't give him as much as you give him. But for a bench presence, it's not too bad. And then there's Okafor. He had a great role this year. He's had a rough start to his career, and I hope they bring him back because he was a pretty good piece for the team, even though it may not have been as significant as he used to be in Philly. And Frank Jackson, that's just ultimately up to them. They most likely will. I don't exactly know what they'll do. I don't know where he would go. So that's up to them. But for team needs, I think they need, some guard, more wing presence, some deeper, stronger presence there, because they got a lot of youth there. You got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you got Frank Jackson, like I said before. So you just kind of need, either you develop them or you kind of bring these other veterans. Presence is also something they could bring in too, such as Joe Harris could be a really good shooter for them if he was available and they could bring him in. Marcus Saul, a dark horse option. It could be interesting though. Dwight Howard, although I don't know, he'll probably get paid a lot more though than they can offer him. And then Nerlens Noel even, and possibly even Davis Bertans, a good streaky shooter that is a forward, could be really helpful for them. They don't really have a lot of opportunities this offseason with free agency, but if there's anything, they could possibly look to getting one of these guys, or just focusing on developing the team. Just as long as you bring in Brandon Ingram, that's really the most important part for this team. And lastly, I'm going to go into the hypothetical section. If the season continues, how I feel this team plans out. I'm going to make this short and sweet. They're not in the playoffs right now. They're hopeful for either continuing the regular season so they can get a chance at the 8th seed, or they'll just for a play-in tourney for the NBA playoffs. That's pretty much it. I don't much to say about that. But the two questions I kind of want to leave off on are, how can the organization build around Zion? I hate to say it for Ingram, but whether or not he's re-signed, I know he will probably be. Zion's the future. He's a once in a very unique player. You don't see this guy come out of the draft every day, and they were very lucky to get him. So they obviously need to prioritize building around him, I believe. And secondly, can other players submit into their winning culture? I'm just saying, like, can they develop the way that the Pelicans need them to, the way like Zion needs them to even, or Ingram to win in the future? I'm talking about Lonzo Ball. I'm talking about Josh Hart especially, because he's a really important guy, but that's the guy you need to make sure he can do it. Even Jackson Hayes, I'd say. And I would, Drew Holiday and the Favors too, the veterans. And yeah, with that being said, that'll be the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on the video, and drop a comment down below about any ideas or just any thoughts on the video. And yeah, thank you so much for watching the video, and have a great day.